I feel like obviously you need to trust somebody. You need to completely trust somebody, and then after that, everything else will start to follow. For me, like the number one thing is like communication. Okay, but you can only have proper communication if you trust somebody. So once you trust somebody and you have proper communication, you need to be able to say anything and everything. And I really mean that in the literal sense. Like being able to share every little thing about you that you feel like you're embarrassed, shy, or you don't want to say to somebody. You should be able to say it to your partner. You should feel comfortable saying it to them. But obviously this takes a lot of trust, because you don't want to share these things to someone who might, you think might hurt you in the future if it doesn't go well. So for me, like those are like the number twos, and then obviously, respect and loyalty.
ALFA Relations, driving change forward.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of ALFA Relations. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. If you're on other platforms, hit that follow button. In today's episode, we have ourselves a special guest. Someone who has personally helped me get outside of my shell and grow as a person. A man that has been believed to be my literal brother. A legend. Patrick Laranjeiro!
Yeah.
Hello.
Welcome, Pat.
I'm so happy to be here finally.
He's been waiting for this moment.
Luca.
I was going to keep it for episode 100.
Yeah, Luca. You okay?
What do you mean, Alan?
You looking a little flushed.
Yo, I don't know what's going on, bro. My face
He's shy. I'm here.
Luca, you have to stop drinking.
The wine's hitting me, yo.
That and it's true. I mean, when these two lovely, gentlemen, I'm saying that with quotation marks, by the way, are side by side or virtually side by side, literally anything is possible. Grab your kids, find a bunker, and lay low for a while, because these two are chaotic. It's a fact.
Hide your kids.
Okay.
What do you think we're doing, Alan?
I don't know what you're talking about. No, I'm kidding. I know who my family is. I know. All right. I'm sorry to hog, Pat, it's very good to see you, my good sir. Very good.
You're very good to see you too.
Hello, Pat.
Hello, Alex. Hello, Luca. Hello, everybody.
I didn't even intro you guys. Just the first time I forgot to intro you guys. I am here with Alan and Alex.
Hey.
Now, I'm unprofessional today. You see, this is what happens when me and Pat are together. It's just straight chaos every time. So
I'm excited. You're the one blushing.
This is gonna be a great episode. I think we have some juicy stuff to talk about. So we're gonna start off this episode like we do with all guests. We're gonna have Pat take the time to just introduce himself a little bit, how he knows us, where we met, and just get into all that.
Alex, composure, please. Your brother's talking.
I've been hearing a lot of laughter since my intro, and
I'm so sorry.
I'm very confused.
I'm very curious to see how this gets edited. Curious.
It's funny. We said that, guys, after Faisal's episode, which is just a wonderful batch of shits and giggles all the way, we said, okay, hey, let's have a little bit more control next time we have a close friend, right? Clearly, that's not happening right now.
Well, if I may say so myself, so I actually met Alan first. I met him in 232, I think, with Dr. Farmer. We had the same group for task force. And I started bonding with him in the group because we had another class together. I don't remember which one it was. But then we started talking like that. And was it with Middleman?
Not Middleman. We had Susan Dinan, 225, experiential learning, something like that.
You're very good. You're very good.
Yes, sir. What can I say?
Classes on. Good student, you were.
Thank you, Pat.
So
That's nice.
So I met Alan like that, and started talking to him, chilling with him, and then eventually, I think it was the following semester, Alan kept like hyping up this guy called Luca. Kept hyping him up to, yo, you gotta meet this guy. You're gonna meet him. He's like, it's just like you. You guys are gonna get along. Yo, he's basically identical to me is what he was trying to say. So I met Luca. We had, I think it was 335.
Yeah,
Power and conflict.
And I met this guy, big gold watch on his wrist. It was like he's trying to flex on me or something. I don't know what's going on. No, looking like a bit of a douche. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh my god!
I was a bit offended. I was like,
oh my god!
I was like, this is what Alan is saying I'm like? What is this? So, I said hi, whatever. Got to know him slowly. Like, slowly we would, like dab each other up. A little handshake. Yo, how are you? A little bit like that. But slowly we started talking more and getting to know each other. And next thing you know, I was sitting in Alan's seat. Alan was the one at the end of the table. And it was the me and Lucas show from there.
Yeah, we just took over after that.
Oh yeah, quickly. I remember that moment. It was just like, oh my gosh, what the hell happened, right? It's like overnight, It's like, yin and yang, coming together at last.
I must say, your prediction was absolutely correct.
It was a little too.
Alan was right.
It was a bit too much. Yeah,
at first. Quite similar.
Oh boy,
it was quite similar in a way. Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a story behind that though that really solidified the bond at that time. No.
He's already. Aloy goes right at that.
Do you want me to explain it, Alan?
I think it is fundamental.
I guess
it's fundamental.
The theme of
it does. Yeah.
The whole episode.
Yes.
Well, shortly after meeting Luca, actually I don't know like if it was the same semester or what, but we were actually talking to the same girl from Tinder at the time. I was single, he was single. He had been single for a very long time.
Not relevant, but okay.
Yeah, I just feel like throwing that out there, let everybody know what we're dealing with. Yeah, so basically, me and Luca here were talking to the same girl from Tinder, and we ended up finding out. And at this time, I had already more or less stopped talking to her. Like, I wasn't really talking that much anymore because I just wasn't interested in there. But we ended up finding out by Lucas sending the same snap that I had sent, or he storied the same snap that I had sent. It was something like that. Mm-hmm. And then she then told Luca, like, oh, you know him, and blah, blah, blah. And Luca then tried playing a little prank with me. And then we found out that we were actually speaking to the same girl.
Oh my gosh. Oh boy.
It was very interesting because like what were the odds? You brought me and Luca together, and this was happening in the sidelines.
That's true. That's true. And if anything, that was always still going to happen.
Yeah. If anything, I saved Luca.
Pat did save me in that instance. Yeah. Pao was already like a few steps ahead of me.
I warned him.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I had already figured out what was going on with that girl, and
so
I was in the middle of that storm before.
Oh boy.
Pat pulled me out.
So you avoided a bamboozling moment.
Pretty much.
Well, that's good. He's a good guy.
That never hurt our relationship or anything. It, if anything, made us stronger.
It made us stronger. It was a bonding moment right there that really was like, okay, Pat.
That's beautiful. I love that. That's good, man. Pat, like I remember that day, I felt like a father reuniting his kids for the first time and then realizing, well, shit, man, this is about to get a lot more chaotic than I originally anticipated.
Oh, yeah. I mean, after that, we started taking all our classes together, and that's when the party started, man. we've had a lot of fun times in classes. Sometimes it almost feels like we're not even taking a class.
Honestly, at one point, it was like I was just going to class just to fuck around in the back, pretty much. I'll be honest. I just knew you were there. We're just gonna mess around the whole class and just
really, it was just like it was like a reason to get together. You know, the class was just there basically for us to get together.
I agree, and that's when our family of two, and two became like four, and then just multiplied, and then Pat comes to knowing Alex.
Well, I mean, my grandmother seems to know Patrick's grandfather by name, but Patrick never confirmed if his grandfather.
I still haven't been able to
also like if his grandfather like knows of my grandparents. So basically, Pat and I are both Portuguese, and my grandfather, when he first came to Canada, was, I don't know, like very prominent in the Montreal Portuguese community, I guess. He had like kind of like a coffee shop called Café Portugal, and other like little shops, like a pastry shop and a bakery or whatever. And so when I found out Pat was Portuguese and he lives in the Portuguese community, I asked my grandmother, I'm like, hey, do you know anybody with this last name? And she was just like, sounds familiar, but it's like, I guess, a somewhat common last name. So she didn't know if it was his family. So the conversation that Alan is referring to is I asked Pat for his grandfather's name and exchanged my grandfather's name. And I asked my grandmother, I'm like, hey, do you know this guy? And she's like, yeah, I think he's come around often. It's pointless to ask my grandfather because he does not remember. But yeah, so we'll have to confirm at 100% if our families know. I must
confirm this eventually.
Yeah.
But it could be very likely because my grandfather was definitely someone who would promenade around the community.
Promenade.
I learned this word in a British show.
Well, I didn't teach you that one, that's for sure.
Honestly, though, all like grandparent generation people, Portuguese people, I'm sure they all know each other.
They're tight. Yeah.
Like, who else were you going to talk to fresh off the boat? You know what I mean?
They seem to all know each other. And at least my grandparents and myself, we've lived in like the heart of the community. So like we're very well known, which can be annoying for me.
Pat's like a local celebrity in little Portugal.
Yeah, it's like people will gossip about you. And you have nothing to do with it, but they'll just do it. And it's like if they catch you with somebody on the street, it's like, oh, I saw your son with this person, or I saw that, and it spreads and it comes all the way back to you, and people start asking you, and you're like, well, who was I even with? Like, I don't even know.
It sounds like there's a juicy story there, buddy.
I don't remember like a juicy story, but like I can just tell you that that's happened.
I think something else.
Like literally just like with friends, and you're like, no, that was just a friend of mine. There was nothing there.
No, you sure that didn't happen to you, Pat?
Oh, I don't know, what are you referring to exactly?
You know exactly what I'm
with my current girlfriend?
He's not picking up on
it hasn't happened with my current girlfriend, if that's what you're asking.
Okay, well, we're gonna get into that, explore that more.
Being that this is the month of Valentine's Day, and we are still well into the COVID-19 pandemic, we're going to look at relationships and COVID. So you have a girlfriend. So could you tell us a little bit about the struggle that you've encountered during these times?
It is awful, let me tell you.
Let it inhale. Holy shit.
I could sense the suffering.
It's even worse for me because I'm someone who like kind of enjoys the presence of someone like in person a lot. and I need that, and I need that comfort. So it's even worse to not have it. But I do see her. But at the start of COVID, my parents were obviously very scared. They're not scared at all anymore. It's like it doesn't exist anymore. But at the start,
I believe it.
At the start, they were very, very worried. And then obviously her parents too. And it made things more complicated. Was our parents didn't even know of our existence, like our relationship. So it made it so that it was hard to see each other, because I couldn't really just say I'm going to go see a friend, because I'm not supposed to be risking lives over just seeing some friends.
Right.
So it became very hard at the start, and I don't know if you guys are going to talk about this later, but I'm just started off here. Maybe you guys can talk about this later, but I ended up introducing her to my parents, or like bringing up the fact that I have one, a girlfriend, just so that it would give them a reason to why I'm leaving during COVID.
I remember this, I think.
Yes. So it literally, I like exposed myself, and then I went to go see her. And I didn't realize was my parents were so afraid of COVID that when I came home, it didn't even matter who I was going to see, but it was as if I was a walking piece of COVID.
Oh no.
They were so afraid I had somehow caught this, and this was at the time that I think we were having maybe like less than 10 cases,
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
We don't have that privilege now, but
nope.
So it was really impossible that I would have had it, but they were so afraid. So they literally isolated from me just for a few days until they got used to it. And
didn't they want you to put on like gloves and stuff when you go around the house and stuff?
Yeah, like a mask, everything.
The hazmat
took
suit.
my clothes. Yeah, took my clothes. I had to put in a garbage bag.
Oh my lord!
They were legit treating it as if we actually had it.
So I thought I was exposing like this girlfriend of mine at a good time, but it turned out it was probably not a good time. But it ended up working out. So I'd say that after that, me and her, well, we just like chose not to see each other just because it was too risky. We became very afraid of the virus ourselves. So we chose not to see each other. So I think we didn't physically see each other for like a few months. I'd say like 2 months even. And then we finally started like seeing each other like car to car. You know what I mean? Rolling down the window, and then slowly, when you're really like in love with someone, it's hard to just be doing like social distancing. So eventually, slowly, every meetup, we would just kind of distance less. If that makes sense.
Yeah. No. I hear you, Pat.
I'd say throughout, like, it's been like a year of COVID almost. I'd say like throughout the year, we would try to see each other, once a week or two. But we went from, seeing each other like every day to, once a week, twice maybe if we're lucky. So it was definitely difficult.
Yeah, especially since from the sound of things, your relationship with your girlfriend was pretty new prior to COVID. So I can't imagine like being in a new relationship and not being able to.
We've technically been in a relationship like during COVID longer than we were not. We officially got together, I think it was in October.
Okay.
And I think COVID started, what was it? March?
Yeah.
Something like that. So we had to, celebrate our 1 year anniversary during COVID.
Damn. Okay. Well, so you mentioned that you're somebody who needs like that physical like comfort. You like, having somebody close to you. So seeing that can't really be done so much, or it especially more toward the start of COVID, what were some things, not necessarily that you were doing, but you could share them, but what were things that you I don't know, that you alternatively did to be like intimate with each other?
Well, we can't share everything, but
Hey. Okay, we have time. We're gonna ease our way into it.
well, I'd say FaceTime becomes your number one best friend, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say we just had to FaceTime all the time, and there was a moment in COVID, in quarantine, when we weren't seeing each other, where I actually like fell more in love with my girlfriend, because I started realizing like how much she means to me, how much I need her in my life. So not being able to be with her anymore was like weighing down so much that it just made me realize what I was taking for granted.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, it really helped in that sense. So we definitely FaceTimed a lot. I was up, into the late hours, which I would never. I used to go to bed at like max 1, 2 a.m. And the next thing you know, I was awake at 6, 7 still. So, and in those, when it's late like that, you really get into your feelings. So you start sending some very heartfelt messages sometimes.
Marvin's Room's playing in the background.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Some tears coming down your face.
Yep. That's pretty much like all you can do, and when we first started seeing each other during COVID, like we would have a mask on and gloves.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I mean? And we'd hold hands with our gloves on, and it was just sad. But it's like in the summer, so it was hot, so your hands start getting sweaty in the gloves. It's just
Oh gosh. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing at you. It's just a situation. Yeah.
and then we'd like hug, but we'd be like scared to hug.
Mm-hmm.
And then like, that's when everything was new. And then eventually you just kind of like, it goes out the window and you're not really afraid anymore.
Yeah.
I guess one thing we did do to make ourselves feel more comfortable for seeing each other was we kept our circles very small during COVID. So we would not go see like anybody in terms of friends, just so that we were really only putting less risk on ourselves. You know what I mean? It was just, we see your parents and that's it. So I would, the amount of times I had to, refuse Alan or Luca, like, oh, I can't come or I'm not coming and whatnot. And her too, and it also sucks to do that because you feel bad saying no to your friends all the time. But at least because of COVID, it was like understandable. So that's something we did to feel more comfortable with seeing each other.
What did you guys do for like date nights? Did you do any of those?
Oh yeah, for sure. Because my parents knew about her at this point.
Yeah.
I started bringing her over like all the time, which obviously was something we never did before.
Yeah.
So I started bringing her over all the time, and we would have like little dates in my backyard, or like we'd go to the park, do like a little picnic away from everybody. I think we did a lot of picnics. This was like the year of the picnics.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah, that's true.
We'd drive around, like we'd have like driving dates. We'd drive somewhere nice, spend the day there, and then drive back. Like basically just away from everybody. Things like that. But I'd say we were definitely a lot of picnics and a lot of time like chilling at my house, watching movies, and stuff like that.
So what do you think were some of the impacts you think on relationships in COVID? Maybe not specifically on your own, but for like others, like having a more of a socially distant like relationship. What do you think were some of the goods and the bads that came from that?
I think a lot of people experienced a long distance relationship, which everyone thought this was only achievable if someone lived somewhere else out of the country. But I feel like people really got a taste of what that is. And as you know, a lot of long distance relationships don't work out.
Yeah.
So I'd say if I had to guess for other people, relationships that weren't like solidified before COVID, ones that were maybe really early, or if they were having kind of like issues, I'd say those relationships probably struggled a lot because they can't see each other, they can't do stuff. You're just on the phone.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of relationships people probably didn't social distance in the first place.
Yeah.
I feel like they probably didn't care much. I feel like for some people, distance or not being able to talk to your partner could feel like maybe you're not appreciated as much anymore, or they're trying to, I don't know, maybe avoid you, or loyalty could be people could be doubting the loyalty of others because they can't see them. These could all be issues, I find.
I definitely think that COVID definitely exposed a lot of, like, I think, weaknesses or issues within a relationship. I think it was definitely a time to, like, just because of the circumstances where people were sort of like really starting to like having like either like couples were stuck together so much where it was like the relationship just couldn't last because there's just like it was just like it exposed like all the challenges within the relationship, or it's just because of the social distancing you just seen how weak they were between each other. But I think it's also like I think for for newer relationships, I think or from newer relationships, let's say, I think it was interesting that maybe it even gave people the opportunity to maybe get to know people through because you can't meet or actually see the person in person. You really have to learn more about the person themselves, right? And get to know more about like personality over everything else in those circumstances.
That's good.
That's very true, Luca. Wow.
That is quite true. That's good.
I didn't even think of the fact that people could have been living together and then been in a new relationship.
Yeah, because there's been lots of talk about that, like how there's been a lot of problems with like couples who are like pretty much being stuck together. There's no more getting out of the house, right? You're working together, you're always in the same environment together. So that just leads to a lot of like just a toxic environment or a hostile environment, depending on how the relationship is built.
Yeah, it becomes hard to breathe.
Yeah. I feel like if it wasn't the right relationship or the right partner, it would become very, very evident if they were together all the time.
That's a good point. Nice, Luca. Pat, I want to explore with you now. So you talked about this relationship and when you and I first started to get to know each other, actually, no, not even. This was like already a year into knowing each other. Pat, ladies and gentlemen, everyone out there, he's quite a sweetheart. He drove me home, my bum ass home, like every night after diversity class in the fall of 2019. But we had good talks, we had good drive, we had good music. And one of the talks that came up was when Pat had just started dating, the person he's with now. And something that I found just super interesting that you shared with me during one of those car rides was the you dating someone from a different culture other than your own, and your like the reason why like you were in it, like what attracts you to what here, or you see the relationship for whatever it is, based off you being you, and that's absolutely cool. But you mentioned how there was this barrier, regarding where you're coming from in your own culture and the expectations that come from that versus what you were seeking out in life, what you were with, at the time. So just like tell us a bit of that, just fill in the blank here with that juicy story of yours, if you don't mind.
I don't exactly remember this whole story, so it was a long time ago. But I will try to answer this as best as I can.
I believe in you.
I also want to tell the audience, Alan would just get in my car and hold me hostage. I brought him home.
He pretty much just sit there like expecting you just to drive him at that point.
Yeah, we're neighbors. We're neighbors practically.
What was I supposed to do?
She's not getting out of the car, that's for sure.
Oh boy.
No, I was happy to drive Alan home.
Thank you.
It's a little sweetheart of ours here.
Oh.
So I guess to kind of try to answer your question, so my girlfriend is her background is from Bangladesh, so her parents and all that, and their religion they're Muslim, and then I'm Portuguese and Catholic. So for me personally, is obviously isn't an issue, but for other people it could be an issue, right? So for someone I was maybe afraid of would be like my parents, for example. Yeah. If they would be okay with this, if it would be a problem. It's hard to tell, but it's it's immigrant parents, and usually they could be strict. And if you look at my family, my cousins, all this, nobody is with anybody from another religion or culture. So I'm really like the first one breaking the ice here.
Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like for me, it's only natural because like my whole life I grew up with all kinds of ethnicities or cultures. Like I've always been in a big, I guess, melting pot or whatever you want to use as a term. So for me, I've always been exposed. So I've never had like a preference of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's always been more of a connection. I need to have like an emotional connection with them, and need to be able to feel, safe, secured, and trust the whole relationship. So it becomes all about the connection and not really about, the person or the background. So obviously it was a bit of, I guess, a scary patch for us, not knowing if like we can actually be together in the future. If it would be a problem with our parents, if we'd be accepted. Luckily, on my side, it's been fine. My parents know they've accepted. It's been great. Her parents don't actually know about me yet. Hopefully, in the future, they will know and they will accept me. Like that is obviously the hope. But it is a scary part in the relationship to think of the future and to think like it's like we might not be the problem, but like a reason outside of us might be the problem. Stopping us from being together. So it like makes you think like, should we continue? Are we wasting our time? Is something going to stop us in the future? You know what I mean? But because we had such a good, strong connection together, we just kind of dived into it and we're like, we'll just figure this out in the future.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Enjoy what you have in the current moment.
And I remember back in those times too, because me and Pat used to have like pretty much after every class, we used to have just like these like sit downs in his car. We used to just like listen to music and just talk pretty much and have these deep talks. And I remember this one time just like he was talking about it and he was like pretty much in tears almost, and he was like talking about like how it might not work out and all that, and he said that he told her that he loved her and stuff in that moment and stuff, and just like how tough it was just because he was like so scared to like tell his parents about it or tell his dad about it more specifically. And I think that's a lot of people go through that, and with that barrier between like cultures and stuff, and it's pretty cool getting to see Pat like where it started to now where like he's actually bringing his girlfriend over to his house and getting to be with the family and stuff, compared to where it started where he was like in such fear to just over the start of that at the start of a relationship, just because he didn't know what the future was going to hold with that.
Luca exposing my almost teary times.
Don't worry.
My goodness.
Guys, remember, we're all coming from human relations here. This is a safe space, okay? Yeah.
I can only speak for myself, not for like other people in a similar scenario for me.
Yeah.
But I'm also, someone who is, anxious and I overthink. So in my head, I'm going to think of, every possible scenario that is wrong, or like every scenario that is going to lead to a bad ending.
Yeah.
So, which is going to make it worse for me in like making the decision to, expose the relationship and whatnot. It actually ended up working out great. My parents, they like her. Doesn't seem to be an issue, the religion as of yet. My grandparents have seen her. I've introduced them. I introduced them to basically anybody in the family when we bump into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that often?
I can't speak for.
Sorry. Is that often?
Is that often? Not right now because of COVID.
No. But
yeah.
I mean, let's say once everything gets back to normal, knowing that you mentioned that the whole family, practically lives on the same block where you live.
I was nervous that my neighbors would start gossiping around the community.
I remember that.
But I'll definitely invite her and bring her to any family event or whatnot, because you're really only afraid of the older generation. I feel like new generation, so me, my cousins, stuff like that. Everyone's already like exposed to this happening, like mixed relationships and all that. So that's not really the issue. You're really just afraid of the judgment of past generations, the older, if they will judge you or not. But like for me right now, it's been good, and I mean I'm not embarrassed of anything, so I will always bring her, and I will always support support our relationship.
That's beautiful.
I love that.
Nice. Nice.
He's crying for me.
Okay. Are you crying?
He's teary now.
Aww.
I'm not crying out.
You want a moment? You okay? Okay. All right.
Don't worry. He's almost cried a few times with me in his deep talks in my car. I won't expose you though. I won't expose your story.
That's a story for another day.
Hey, your girlfriend's gonna listen to that and be like, "Wow, what an amazing guy Pat is." Okay,
that's true. Pat, if anything, you being here recording with us today is that's bonus points, buddy.
Ooh, I hope so. I hope this goes down well. I hope I don't get in trouble or anything.
You'll be okay.
So then, how did you get to a point where you felt ready or comfortable to open up to your parents and tell them about your relationship?
Well, for me, it was actually COVID related. But I'd say right before COVID, I was already feeling pretty comfortable because, like, in my head, I felt like this relationship I had was something I want to have forever, right? So what's the point if I, expose my relationship in 5 years, or if I do it right now?
Yeah.
A part of it was just me being anxious for exposing a relationship in general, because then, it becomes like, oh, we want to see the person all the time. And there's like all those other things that I also just wanted to avoid right now. But because of COVID and needing like an explanation to why I want to like leave the house and meet somebody, I felt like it had to be like it was the perfect time to do it. And I kind of like pressured her in a way, which thank God she was, she didn't really complain that I exposed the relationship, because it could be a lot of pressure for her too, since she's not gonna expose me yet. Yeah. So I decided like, oh, I'm just gonna do it because I want to facilitate like our meetings, and this will give us a place to meet. We can meet here. It's instead of being outside where it's dangerous, we could be like safe together.
Yeah.
So in a way, it was rushed, but I already felt comfortable because I knew that this was something I'm gonna have for a long time, and I want. So
nice.
I like that. And it's just funny. I mean, again, like we were talking about the reality of the situation with the good and the bad here, and as like COVID has been a huge theme that we've had circulating with many of our episodes. And now that tying it to relationships, I think it's always nice to see the different perspectives regarding the I wouldn't necessarily call it like a benefit, but just the positives that have come out of such a rather unforeseen, unfortunate situation, right? Yeah, and not knowing that was going to happen for you and how it lined up the way it did, and just seeing it now, that's a beautiful thing, Pat. I'm very happy for you.
Thank you, Alan.
What can I say, man? I feel like a proud dad again. Anyway, Pat, moving on though, just let's take it down a bit deeper now, okay? So I'd like to explore with you what biases or assumptions, if you had any, that did you not realize you had until you started dating someone from a different ethnicity or culture?
So I actually have a funny story, a funny example for this that my girlfriend jokes about a lot. So, like we said, like I didn't really have many like like weird expectations, because like like her actual background. My best friend was of the same background, so I was very familiar with how they, do things and how their culture is. But there was one thing, like, because she's Muslim, a lot of times they can't, they have to be married to do almost anything, like with another partner. So, so when I first started, going out with her, I thought, like, I really, really thought, like, I could maybe, like, not kiss her, not, hold her hand, not hug her. Like, I didn't know to what extent. So I was afraid to really do anything. So I would kind of just, like, let her do the move almost, because I didn't know what.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. But then, like, shortly after, like, I told her, like, oh, like, is this okay? Like, I need to ask, like, is this okay or not? And she kind of looked at me and was like, "Are you serious? you thought you couldn't hold my hand, like, but?" And so I felt kind of dumb after that.
I mean, you're just respecting what you believed was part of her culture or her religion. So
yeah, exactly. But maybe I was maybe a little over exaggerating. But it's also like I didn't know how heavily she follows, like the rules of her religion or culture. Because like my friend who I grew up with, he kind of doesn't follow those rules as much, right? He'll kind of do stuff that's technically against his religion. So I don't know if she's someone who follows it, to the T, to the dot, or if she's, someone who is more outgoing, is willing to, I don't know, do stuff that maybe might be against the religion. Or
yeah.
Did that have you overly anxious or worried at times?
I'd say at the beginning, but after a week, I'd say it was like normal.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah, it was really just the beginning, because everything else, like, I'm not someone who really makes assumptions of anything, and I'm very okay with everything. Nothing bothers me, so I don't really think of what ifs. I just kind of just I'm in the moment.
That's good. Nice, love that.
You stole my line.
It's growing on. It's what can I say? It's it goes around. It's catchy.
On the theme, continue with relationships. What we want to know is, like, what do you think are some of the most important factors for a relationship to succeed?
Okay, big question there, Luca.
It could be within your own, like, unique situation, but also just in general. What do you think are some factors that make a big difference in a relationship succeed or not?
I'll answer it with my situation, but also what I feel like is good in general. I feel like obviously you need to trust somebody. You need to completely trust somebody, and then after that, everything else will start to follow. For me, like, the number one thing is, like, communication. Okay, but you can only have proper communication if you trust somebody. So once you trust somebody and you have proper communication, you need to be able to say anything and everything, and I really mean that in the literal sense. Like, being able to share every little thing about you that you feel like you're embarrassed, shy, or you don't want to say to somebody. You should be able to say it to your partner. You should feel comfortable saying it to them. But obviously this takes a lot of trust, because you don't want to share these things to someone who might, you think might hurt you in the future if it doesn't go well. So for me, like, those are like the number twos, and then obviously, respect and loyalty is always important, all that.
That's a big Pat. That sounds a lot like you really picked up on the essence of 232 there. And
was it?
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
It is, but, like, in a nutshell, that's what the course was about. I think that's how you and I.
Well, maybe I should be running the course.
Well, hey, buddy, we have a plan. Remember, Pat, there's a plan. There is a plan. There is a plan.
I'm following it.
I know you are. That's it.
He's ahead of
we're
the game.
Sprinkling that pepper right there. For anyone that gets that reference from 435, you know who you are. Anyway, long story short, no, I agree with that, Pat, 110%. And to be, it's funny how you're talking about that. We had Dr. Farmer on, who was our professor. for that course. And that's ultimately where you and I bonded too, about not having any of there was no nonsense between us, like from day one. Like, I mean, we just, like, I was myself, you were yourself, and we had a nice lunch, beautiful meal, discussing that. And I think that's where I really clicked with you, just having that complete honesty, and we just, that's it's refreshing, when you can do that with someone. Yeah. So
I'm an honest guy.
You definitely are. You tell it like it is, and that's always appreciated. And then this is just coming from a friend perspective. I can only imagine that your partner there, deeply appreciates that in you.
I would hope so.
Okay, this is getting brought up after this episode.
She's not gonna like that comment.
No, she's not gonna like that one.
Oh boy.
Oh my god. So you put when discussing like important factors in a relationship to succeed, you put a lot of emphasis on trusting. So what we want to know is what could help what you could give us to like help the viewers on how to build more trust within their own relationships.
Well, you have to not hide things first and foremost. If there's something about you, you need to be able to share that and not hide it. So an example of that, I guess, would be like, I'm going to take a crazy example. Let's say I have an addiction. Okay, I'm addicted to gambling or something.
Okay.
I shouldn't.
Pat. We know that's a real example, but hey, come on.
Oh my god. I actually got into stocks recently, but it's like strategic gambling. So let's say I have that issue. You have to feel comfortable with like sharing that, right? And your partner should, in a way, be someone who's going to help you, right, and not judge you for it. So you have to be able to share things and not feel like you're going to be judged on whatever you're sharing.
That's so true. I think it's really important, especially with a relationship. Like you put a lot of emphasis so far about like just the importance of being able to share everything, pretty much everything on your mind, everything that you're feeling. And I definitely agree that that's honestly really huge. And I think with especially with trust, I find takes it's like something that takes a lot of time to build up and also get ruined really quickly also. So I think within a relationship, like you're saying, like the trust all begins with like pretty much disclosing and having the other person reciprocate that disclosure, right? And this sort of ties back into a little bit like for relationships to succeed with whole like bidding, if that making reference to the Gottman book, right, of pretty much the like the relationship cure. If no one has read that yet, like I recommend it honestly. It was like one of the books I read back in my our family communication class, and it was a really interesting book about like pretty much people make bids, right, and it's for connecting with others, and depending how you react to those bids, if you have a positive reaction to it, if you acknowledge that bid, then you build that connection with that person, and that's also so important with building that trust and building that connection with someone. And just like the importance of just I think like you said, just making sure that you're disclosing those things, and your partner is pretty much reciprocating back with it, because that builds that trust that you could open up and share what you're going through or what you're feeling and stuff.
Absolutely. And
if I can just add,
go for it.
When you expose yourself like that, then you can like really truly be yourself with them, and you have to be yourself with your partner. You can't feel like you're acting differently with them. You have to literally feel like you're yourself.
Definitely. And I think that actually that crumbles, right? If you are hiding who you truly are, it's only so long you could keep up a persona of who you're not truly. So I think that eventually gets exposed to in the long run.
Yeah, and just to tie back into all of this, is just to have that awareness, right, for yourself, right, but also just not that you have to anticipate or assume or guess, but just have the willingness to just put yourself into the perspective of your partner. What may they be thinking of in the current situation? Doesn't necessarily have to be a situation, but like in the given moment, right, when something comes up. And if you're feeling something, right, then vocalize that, and then just ask the question, just like, so like, I mean, I've been feeling this or thinking of that, and I just wanted to get your 2 cents on it, your perspective, right? And that goes to show, that, I mean, that goes back to the reinforcement of communication that helps to establish more trust, right? And to show that there's a willingness that you're on the ball as best as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And ultimately, what this shows is, someone, or in this case, a couple, being invested, in such a relationship to push forward, to work past that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, I think it's definitely like you're hinting at, pretty much, it's like a two-way street. Pretty much at the end of the day, like both partners need to be giving back, and and that all falls back into, like, the whole, like, the thing about, just like you said, just, I guess, pretty much being mindful, right? Being within that present moment and being able to pick up on things. Like I said, going back to, like, Gottman, like bids, and being able to be in that moment and pick up on those bids, and actively listening to your partner when they're talking, and being able to give back a positive reaction to what they're saying, and stuff like that. It's so important.
Yes, sir. You said it.
I love the theory you're bringing in here. Making me feel like my education was not a waste.
That's
the only book I bought from Beauty.
Too much. All right, so I think we're coming to a close here, but just before we do, are there any questions you would like to ask us, Pat, regarding any of the subjects that were discussed today? Anything that's been on your mind? And if you're catching on, like, I'm reinforcing communication, trust, and awareness in our own relationships here.
Man, I wish you guys told me I would get to ask questions. I would have written them down.
I'll put you on the spot, man. Well, that's the best part of this.
I'd love to know what things have worked well in your relationships, like, that you've done.
Well, so I'm in a relationship. I've been with my boyfriend for almost 3 years, and I think the main things that like make us work is that, well, trust and communication is definitely up there, but that we're also able to have fun with each other and laugh together. And the last thing is probably one of the qualities I love most about my boyfriend is that I get really hot-headed and he always stays calm. So he balances me out. So if we fight, I'm usually the one that's super angry and he's just there to bring me back. So those are the things, I guess.
Damn, that's good.
Those are good things.
Luca, what about you, my good sir?
I had a train of thought, but I just lost it for a second there, Alan.
How could you lose a train?
Oh, there you go. Well, that didn't make sense, but whatever.
He's ready.
Cut that. What I think has always been really important, I think, relationships is just the little things, being able to pick up on the little things and showing that you care. I think a lot of people just lack sometimes that those those little details make such a big difference sometimes in a relationship, and I think they could really make the difference between showing if that you really care about someone or not, and make the other person feel special. So I think just taking the time to look at the little details, doing the small things, that really does make a big difference, I think, in a relationship. And it reminded me a little bit of the whole magic ratio, pretty much, in relationships, the 5-to-1, right? So for every negative pretty much interaction, there should be like 5 positive interactions. So pretty much.
Wow, where is it coming from?
Alan was applauding.
Where is it coming from? Luca, hey, as an academic here, I'm gonna have to ask you to give me the source there.
That's from Gottman's
My,
the relationship.
You've been studying the book on your free time?
I'm gonna drop it down in the description for y'all if y'all want to buy it. I'm telling you, it's actually really good, and it's not just for relationships. It's like for it's not only like I think romantic relationships, it's also for family and work life and just friendships, such like different ways. But just to build like stronger bonds and relationships with people. But just that 5-to-1 is so important, and just trying to keep more of a, I guess, a positive interaction with your person. And I said it all comes back down to, I guess, the little details, and just truly just being happy in the moment with someone, and not I think I lost my train of thought there.
That was great.
That was great, Luke.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, I can't exactly top that, but long story short, about, I think, in any relationship or friendship, what have you, whatever it may be, you need to, I think, having a sense of being daring or having a willingness to want to explore the unknown. And I find that is a great, most times, I mean, it could completely backfire. It's a great way to just, build more of that trust, communication, the awareness, and really make a more solid foundation by throwing yourselves in certain environments or during certain events that just really that push both of you, to the next level. And this Luke and I can attest to this. I mean, last year we threw ourselves in the middle of 40 people to do like a 5-minute or 10-minute interview with each other. And I mean, my interpretation, most people were hesitant, they were scared, anxious, stressed, because you and me did it, and we did it after Faisal as well as his partner. Shout out to Faisal there. And that was nerve wracking. But I said, you know what? I mean, this is something I'm willing to do with this guy right here. You know, and I don't know what's going to come of it, but I believe I want something good to come from it, right? And ultimately, the goal was at hand. It was just to get more confidence from that experience, And I think Luca was on the same brainwave there, and that's exactly what we did, and we had a killer of a time.
Right? Yeah. I think I think I spoke about that in the last episode with followed it up, and just like the importance of that was for like, well, I don't know actually if I spoke about that, but that was a really important moment for my own personal growth and just showing myself that I'm, I've overcome more or less my social anxiety. That was a big moment, and getting to do it with you was just like a special moment too, since you were pretty much been part of that whole journey with me pretty much this whole time. But I think the big thing there was like sort of what you were talking about was like being in the moment, right? Just being in the moment together and just doing that that interview together, and that just ties back in with relationships where, like I was saying, like just being in the moment, being able to actively listen and actually be there listening to your partner, and doing and picking up on the little things. Like I said, the little bids make all a big difference, and the little details that you remember that you bring back like later on, like just because you listened and you remembered things, makes such a big difference, and really does make the other person feel like they're special and they're cared for. So just be present in the moment, mindfulness.
Boom, boom, boom. We should have an episode just about that. That's a good idea.
We should. Honestly, we're going to.
Well, let's add it.
It was so beautiful.
It was. All right, we're gonna wrap this up. Pat, thank you so much for coming on today, and it's a lot of fun, when we get to interview and have a nice, chill discussion with someone from our little group there. So, thank you for sharing. Before we sign out, I do believe. Oh, yes, that's right. Thank you, Luca. I mean, again, we don't have the video, but Luca was just indicating at a little sentimental object that he just received today from the Vive organization, which we teamed up with in 1 or 2 episodes ago with Stefania Restagno. It was a wonderful event. Luke and I attended. It was a great opportunity to hear people's journeys, their struggles, challenges, and successes and tips and tricks that they had to offer regarding mental health. It was honestly quite moving, especially given the fact that it was a virtual event, and knowing that we have that separation. But for the first time in a long time, it was I felt so close to people who I don't know, but just because we all share certain struggles regarding mental health, and it's a continuous battle. But just a big shout out to them and a big thank you. And we're running a little drive there. They teamed up with Head and Hands, another wonderful organization. And Luke and I, I think you purchased their bracelet, their bag. Yeah,
the tote bag and the bracelet I bought.
And I got their little keychain or two. So again, thank you to Vive. Head and Hands, guys, keep doing what you're doing, and you can follow their information online. Go check out the episode too if you're interested. And yeah, so just before we wrap up, Pat, you listen to these episodes, there are a few magic words that we always have our guests share. I think you will do us the honors and maybe say them.
Well, I just want to say thank you for having me, everybody. It was it was fun. It was a great experience. I will happily come on here again, and if you ever want to talk about Luca's stories, I have many stories of Luca. If it's ever a need on the show.
We'll have segments with you.
So I guess I'll sign off. We are ALFA Relations, driving change forward.
All right.
Let's go. Let's go.
Beautiful.
Bravo.
Thank you, Pat, for being on this episode. Hoodies are still available for Be Your Own Alpha down in our Instagram. I'll drop that down in the description. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Follow us on all the platforms. And thank you for listening.
Bye.
Peace.
Bye.